Good night, super fam. This is Morgan Straughan Comnick here, and I am going to be doing another reading from my final book that I have not actually read from yet. So I mentioned in previous videos that my first series is a young adult series, paranormal mystery, with, romance and slice of life and nerd culture and sorry, gotta but I was gonna sneeze for a minute and all that fun stuff. So there are 3 books currently in the series. It has been about 4 years since I've touched it because I moved on to my new adult series, The Hunter and the Bringer. But Spirit Vision will come back, I promise. Thank you for being patient. So this is the final current book in the Spirit Vision series. And it is called The Power of Mortals. So it is the 3rd book. And it picks up immediately where New Beginnings, the 2nd book, ends. Like it's the same scene. So it's a cliffhanger, and I really don't like cliffhangers most of the time, but sometimes they happen, and I've gotten some interesting responses from them, so I think I made the right choice though. Again, like with New Beginnings and it's read aloud, I don't want to give spoilers for anything, so I tried to find a scene in the beginning that didn't give a spoiler, which just was really difficult to do. All the descriptions for where to find The Power of Mortals is above or below my website as well, so you can get links to that. The paperback copy, like all the other Spirit Visions, is $11.99 at almost all retailers that I know, and then the ebook or digital version is $2.99 as well. So what's fun about this section here that I'm going to be reading to you is I started doing the 2nd and 3rd Spirit Vision books while I was still a middle school paraprofessional, which is a fancy education word for teacher assistant, basically, or teacher aide. I started writing them then. So my middle school students, which were a good age demographic for Spirit Vision, they got to kind of go through my process, and I had like competitions, I had fan art, all kinds of great stuff that happened. So in this one, there was a young lady who, some people wrote original characters for my series, and a few of them got selected to have minor roles, and hers was one of them. Her name is Miss Chloe, and she's been graduated at least 2 years now. I knew her I actually knew her in summer school programs back in the day. So her character is in here and in this section, so I'm really happy to be reading that. So shout out to Chloe, and thank you for making this awesome cameo character. All right, so this is part of chapter 3, and like New Beginnings, there are 2 narrators. We have Stary. She's in first person. She's the protagonist of the whole book series. She's the only protagonist, actually, in the first book. But in the 2nd book, we introduced kind of a omniscient, all-knowing 3rd person type narrator. We don't know who they are quite yet at this point. But Stary is actually reading this part. All right, so this is a sample of chapter 3, ironically, from the 3rd book in the Spirit Vision series called The Power of Mortals. This sucks. I mumbled this to myself as I slammed my head on the shop counter, my arms crossing over each other to cushion any blow to the noggin my teenage antics might have done. Not that it would have killed many brain cells. The fact that I could feel suckish at all meant there may have been some hope for grasping my emotions. I always helped my mother after school at her vintage resale clothing store called Jeans and Jazz until it closes at 5. We do get some steady business closer to the weekend, but today, being Wednesday, it was dead, and Mom had to go to the hospital to check on my aunt, who was recovering from knee surgery. I was left in charge, and I had over an hour left to go in my temporary position. Normally, I don't get bored. I do my homework, straighten up the shop, read a book or a manga, or play on the office computer, but the shop was spick and span, my homework was completed, and nothing interested me. I growled outwardly, tossing my head around the shield of my arms, my head feeling the cool burn of the countertop as my cheek grazed it. The sensation I had thumping into my skull, an almost hungry fear, wedged itself deeper into my thoughts. I knew I was making it up, that I really wasn't becoming unfeeling or forgetting anything. Or was I? I felt like I needed reassurance. I clicked the volume up on our remote control door ringer so I could hear customers if they came in. I ventured to the back of the massive building, the wall slowly going from drywall to brick, and then hard concrete. It was like I was stepping through time, the walls welcoming me into the past and yearning to tell me of their adventures as observers. When I made it to the back room, the vintage room, I was surrounded with colorful garments from the 1940s to the 1980s, organized by racks by categories with my mom's bright and adorable handmade signs. The popular section was my mom's pride and joy, showing off the eras that helped raise her and inspire her loving, creative soul. Shoppers found it charming, a rare hidden gem, and they would get authentic period pieces for costume parties. There was, however, one other reason this room was a sweet retreat and a bitter entrapment. That is why I was here at this moment. Sure enough, I was not disappointed at the insanity they saw. I saw the flash of fabric at the corner of my vision, despite the fact I had been staring at the floor to mentally brace myself. At turtle speed, I lifted my head to the entryway to this part of the puzzle piece together store that was my mom's. There I witnessed 3 dresses, flying in a whirlwind circle that made me dizzy. The red and white checkered hoedown dress was ripped off the display wall from a sudden gale, swirling into the crazy above me, its poor lacy underskirt frills flapping embarrassingly. A green 80s dress and blue bell bottoms joined the fray, this rainbow trapped in a spin cycle making my stomach turn. Wait for the wig. On cue, a rubber black wig dolled up in a classy fashion was tossed into the air, the calling card for my so-called troublemaker, one whose mischief needed to be managed. Hello, Natasha. The wig stopped its trampoline routine, hovering 3 feet over from the robin egg-hued carpet. The other wigs in the costume prop spin vibrated, their metal clinking like the rattling of bones. I heard something that sounded like an irritated grunt and a pouting whine, one that signaled me to continue. I plastered my calm, nurturing smile on my face, my voice becoming breathy, patient teacher mode kicking in. Hi, Natasha. I hope you're doing good today. I pointed upward, grinning at the parade of dresses soaring for the air. I'm impressed with the show you did. I know it's lovely today, but in case we get any customers, we don't want the clothes to get ruined. Do you think you could put them down for me, please, Natasha? There was a pause, the heavy air... Oh, you think I sneeze, guys, sorry. The air heavy with her thoughts and the ectoplasmic energy she was producing. A few seconds later rolled by, neither one of us backing down. Finally, Natasha dropped the wig, and all the dresses froze in their airborne spots before crash landing to the floor. My goodness. Angels finally allowed to rest. Her incoherent babbling continued as she picked up a styrofoam wrench and twisted it like a baton. Thank you, Natasha. I gave her my most dazzling beam despite how tired I was, my eyes beginning to droop. I'll pick these up now. The costume props and wig section began to shake like mini tremors, and I swore this time I heard growling. And of course, I will take care of this area since you like it so well, Natasha. Thank you for all your help. I began tidying the room, making sure all the outfits were in their right sections because, you know, Natasha liked to aid me in that department, apparently to keep my mind sharp on period pieces. Natasha lived here at the building. About 30 years ago, a little girl who was gravely ill and her family lived in the apartments above the building. When my aunt was a very young nurse, she was the personal nurse to the little girl upstairs. In heartbreak, the sick little girl didn't make it. Her mother moved away from sadness, moving on with her life, but taken by death, the girl couldn't let go of the unfairness of her early end at the age of 9. Her feelings of invisibility manifesting in that trait that when she chose to be a ghost. Natasha is that little girl. She always likes to cause mischief in the store, my mother even noticing the oddity of things moving and little grunts. I tell her I believe her and take care of the situation myself. I mean, as the spirit warrior, I am meant to take care of it. Other than Natasha being invisible even to me due to her ghost grudge and causing more work around here, she really isn't an issue compared to most ghosts. Sometimes I would just come in here to talk about my spiritual outings, encounters to vent. She never answers, but the air was still, and she will make the AC start running or bang a hanger to make it chime, so I know she listens in her own way. You know, I started, fluffing out the bottom of the hoedown dress's skirt to get some wrinkles out. I've been feeling off lately, like I don't have any feelings at all, honestly. I know that's not true, but it's as if part of me is hidden or missing, like I got whacked in the head with something. I chuckled, exasperated with myself that I couldn't explain well. I'm not making any sense, am I? 3 hangers on the display while did a complete 360 rotation in response. Yes, I'm losing my marbles. You're right, Natasha. My fingers absent-mindedly trailed and ironed out any crinkles I saw in the merchandise in the 80s section after I put the green dress up. I know I'm the spirit warrior for the Lord, and it is my job to help spiritual beings with these gifts. The toy wrench was boomeranged to thump our old AC unit above the small record albums room, Natasha showing her dissatisfaction that I was mentioning helping again. Spirits and ghosts who want help, sorry. Thank you for correcting me again. I hope she didn't see my slight eye roll. Natasha clearly didn't want help, even though we both knew her final mission. It was as simple as me bringing her aged mother here to help her get closure. She had no interest. She wanted to play in the shop. I just didn't argue anymore. I know it was my first assignment to help Mara and Roe move on, to track down her killer after her 2 years of searching and the pain. It was hard to swallow that the murderer was someone my age, and that taking the evil out of them destroyed them. But I performed the task. Mara and I got to become super close like sisters, and when she moved on, I was sad, of course, but also thrilled for her. It's been hard keeping all of this a secret, learning some of the incantations from the Spirit Warrior book that was in the library, and my adventures around the world to help lost souls. The details on how I did all that are still sketchy. I know I've had hardships this year, and it's because, well, I've been alone. Alone. That one awful word made tears sting in my eyes, wanting to fall for the unknown lock of my mind, but it was so tight. My insides were empty, too light to exist. Maybe I didn't either. I stopped my inspection to make sure all the hangers were facing the proper way, my eyes pleading to sink into my head just to stop these doubts, this emptiness. My voice got trapped in my throat, but I pushed the revelation out since the air was still. The problem is, Natasha, there are no holes in my memory, but I feel like things have been altered or twisted. Something's erased. Or someone... The metal shelf that was holding the costume wigs went soaring into the bay window, the sound making me squeal and duck between 2 of the clothing racks. The side of the wall that got punched by the shelf trembled, making the flow of time get wacky. I was surprised the glass didn't break on impact. When the coast was clear in my mind, I crept to the damage. An array of wigs were sprawled out in several heaps, limp on the blue floor. The shelf was halfway, leaning on the window next to the one it made contact with, as if it slid down. At closer inspection, I didn't see any cracks at all, a miracle in itself. I know a ghost threw it, but still, she had to possess it, and they have normal strength when... Wait. I suppose I should discipline the said ghost first. I spun to look at where Natasha was, my muscles tense and face steely. Natasha? Look, I know we let you play here, but there is no way in Hades that I'm going to let you destroy the shop. My anger trailed off, cut off when I realized that her favorite rubber classic black wig, the one with her name in it, was not in its normal hovering spot. Instead, it was attempting to slide out the window it just hit with the shelf, the urgency in it by the speed and frustrated sound she was loudly proclaiming. Natasha not only never makes any of her own noises loudly, but she has 110% never had any desire to go outside. I wasn't sure yet if it was because she was attached physically to the building, like she couldn't leave it, or she chose to stay. Since she had no interest to move on, I was going for the latter. What was making her act so crazy that she was trying to leave and throw a shelf? I soon got my answer. Across the street from this back room was an alleyway down to the cemetery. It was small, most of the tombstones marked for the mid-1800s, but what caught my eyes, and apparently was the kindle to her fire, a golden retriever. Yet the shadow is what got my attention. I squinted to the small closet room that held our vinyl records. Behind the bookshelf, if you swiveled it, there was a secret door that led to the empty shop next to us. An empty shop that had a door. I went on with my operation, sweat trickling down my neck, dust getting caught in my nose when I went into the vacant store. I patted my pocket down to make sure I still had the store key to get back in before zooming down the street. The dog was walking casually across the street still, going around the square perimeter of the graveyard. I raced for the sidewalk that connected to the side of the store. It ended at the parking lot of the gas station my mom would often send me to get snackage from. I evened my pace to that of a civilized person to not attract attention, trying to conceal my face with the shadow of the overcast clouds. One of the regular employees spotted me, giving me a friendly how-do and wave. I responded with an awkward one of my own, shoving my hands in my pockets, setting my sights on the graveyard, my destination. Why I had this need to chase after this dog, one minding its own business, owning its destiny, pounding into my brain. But my gut was pulling me, I the one on the leash. I, like Natasha, never left the shop without permission. Yet the danger of crossing the street, avoiding insane drivers who did not abide by traffic laws for crosswalks, faded to white noise. I was focused in body, even though my mind was in chaos, caving into itself. Why was the only start of all my sentences, but the things driving me fought for control. Still, I kept them sorted into one compartment to follow the dog. Maple trees swayed in the breeze, casting the graveyard into a dusk darkness. The dog was traveling on the right side of the rusted black iron fence from where I was. I padded along It padded along like it had no other care in the world. But from the way its darling bushy flag tail billowed in the wind, I knew it had intended to bring me here. And the goal for the golden flag was to lead me here. When I got halfway to one of the right-sided, cracked sidewalks, the retriever at the edge, about to turn, it halted, looking over its shoulder to give me a pointed look, an expression of wisdom and sadness. The shadow that trailed behind it enlarged, expanding to the length of a pathway, the top of the shadow's heads a foot from my feet. I stepped back on impulse, mesmerized by the silhouette staring at me. The shadow was that of a young woman. The trees curved, the branches bending to the... Sorry, my phone does something silly. The trees curved, the branches bending into the wind and obscuring the shower of light that was sprinkling through the swaying trees. When the sun was blocked, I became blinded by light. I squinted, the darkness shifting into diagonal lines, a shape manifesting into a figure that matched the shadow on the sidewalk. In front of me was a petite young woman, about 14 years old in appearance. Her blonde hair was brushing the tips of her shoulder, flaring outward at the ends. She wore a pale purple hoodie, the pockets tie-dyed, and her blue jeans stood firm on her legs, showing off her green tie-dyed high-top Converse ankle boots. As the breeze twinkled in, dampening my soul and skin with its chilliness, the girl flipped her golden halo of hair, setting her watery blue-green eyes staring at me in a deadlock. The dog was nowhere to be found. Leaves blew past us, the wind picking up my hair to give it a messy braid. As we stood, two girls, one with a pulse and one not, somehow connected. My heart thudded in my ribcage. It was not scared of this girl, but she had an eerie quality to her innocence, like Natasha, one who did not want to be saved. Maybe that was why Natasha went berserk, thinking another spiritual being was in her turf, especially one that was young like her and could turn into a dog. At least that's what I assumed was going on. Territorial much? I gulped down my insecurities. Well, time to act like the role model of the Lord's chosen spirit warrior and not be a pansy wussy kitten. I feel like somebody would have called me that before if I didn't put on my big girl pants. Oh, hello there. My name's Stary Moon. I'm the current spirit warrior. Yeah, I know. Why do you think I called you out here? What, are you slow or something? Her high-pitched voice rolled with mocking sarcasm, her leveled eyes scholarly wise beyond her exterior. I was taken aback by this. It felt like I was being slapped in the face. So this is what happened if Ren and Lauren were combined. Scary as all get out. Well then, thank you for calling me out here, I guess. I dragged my last word out far longer than needed, arching my eyebrows to signal that I would like to know her name. Aura Wolf. And yes, that's my real name. She puckered her lips into a slight scowl, but there was a certainty and pride flashing in her pupils at her statement. A small smile spread on my face. That's a really pretty name. Well, Aurora Wolf, if you called me out here, you must have some business with me. I paused there, unsure of how to act. I tried to look as approachable as possible, but not too dorky or nervous. I had a feeling like my hot-headed wren that would PO this chick. It's not like I need you or to talk to you or anything. I don't need help moving on or anything. I'm staying until my dog, a golden retriever, moves on to Rainbow Bridge one day, and then I can be with him. He was my truest friend, so loyal and loving. I owe him that for leaving him so early. I know it affects him as much as my parents and brother. She looked listlessly at the church on the right side of the neighborhood, her mind wandering into what was above the sky. It was clear as day in her expression. I have 4 dogs myself, and I love them with all my heart. I know all about Rainbow Bridge from the Spirit Warrior book. And I have a friend who's a spirit messenger for animals and nature. An animal soul is so pure, so full of undying love, that they deserve as much love as we receive, maybe more. I think that is incredible that you want to wait for your friend. She caught my eye for a moment as I graced her with a smile, but my sight altered upward to the neon lights that all spiritual beings have over them that I can see. It tells me the name of the spirit or ghost and how old they were when they died, or even how. Aura covered her chest for a moment and then stuffed her hands deeply into her hoodie pockets. I moved my vision back to her, understanding her flushed look and how slightly flaming her cheeks were. She didn't want me to know how she died. I only scanned the name for confirmation and age. I was on the nose at 14. I respected her privacy. If I died young, I probably wouldn't want anyone to really know how either. The reason I'm here today, Miss Stary Moon, is because I feel sorry for you. Well, now that was a new one. Her matter-of-fact statement threw me for a loop. I blinked, not processing her words. What do you mean? You've forgotten something, haven't you? Something important? Her stare was daggers stabbing into me. By impulse, I wanted to deny her claim. I was Stary Moon, a clumsy, bubbly, nerdy 15-year-old who was also the spirit warrior. I knew my life was in order, my memories not an act. But if I denied her question, why did it feel like I was telling a lie? I allowed the wind to cool my face to compose my thoughts. My stuttering determined to be the master of my body. I don't really know. I looked down at the ants crawling away from their orderly lines, craving for my thoughts to be in that formation. Shame reddened my face, the heat creeping in them making me want to hide in a shell. I'm not done with you, Stary Moon. You'll see me again, but I feel like I could understand you a bit here. I lifted my head up, struggling. My head was so jumbled, all my thoughts zooming in my stomach like 12 dozen bottle rockets going out of control. Nodding, I urged her to continue, eager to learn more. I still play with my dog, Luke. I guess he had such a connection that when I passed, I was able to manifest my feelings to transform me into a dog whenever I want. It sounds odd, but animals are sensitive to spiritual energies and can detect things easier than people. Because, like you said, their souls are pure. There is no room for doubt, no unneeded hatred that mark our souls as humans. I know that sounds like a physical change, but it starts with mental. A thought was granted to me and I changed. Special abilities and incantations are like that. You, Miss Spirit Warrior, had something similar happen to you, an internal change that affects you physically more than you realized. The only issue was, yours was forced upon you. A gust whistled through the graveyard, slicing through my clothes. I bared my teeth, planting my sneakers into the olden pavement. Flashes of shapes sparked into supernovas, etched around the edges of my vision, sending my eyes into a muddled state and my mind into strong chaos. The background of my surroundings snapped, dulling into it was white. Colors, an array of bold colors, formed in never-ending lines and phased through me, phantoms that couldn't stretch the void of white behind me. I was just an obstacle in their hopeless quest. Or maybe I was the phantom in all of this? Okay, so I am going to stop there. So that's a little bit about Aurora Wolf, who was Chloe's character, and she did a wonderful job making such a very perky, fun ghost character with a really fun ability with the dogs and everything. And then the shop that I'm talking about in the book, Starry's Mother Shop and Natasha, those are all actually experiences I had. I worked at Jeans and Jazz when I was in high school, and we actually had a ghost named Natasha who would like move the clothes and throw stuff, and yeah. So I think I kind of got interested in supernatural for several reasons, but Natasha is definitely one of them. So I do hope she's doing well. Guys, thank you so much for listening to another reading. Again, this is the third Spirit Vision book in my young adult paranormal mystery romance / whatever fun series, The Power of Mortals. Links will be in the description above or below, again, depending how this is on social medias. There's also a bonus content in here. It's the short story that I wrote, which was also inspired by another student's character, and it was one of my just random fun projects I did, so maybe I'll read a little sampling of that to you sometime. If you're interested in me doing any more readings from my my other books, I've read a little bit of each now, which, yay, that's awesome. But if you want a little bit more, let me know, and we can try to make that happen. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Take care, and remember, you can soar. You are strong. You are mighty. You are bright. All right, take care, guys. Bye.